This week's 1044 is brought to you by Chevron Delo 600 ADF Ultra Low Ash Diesel Engine Oil. It's time to kick some ash.
This week on the 1044, using commercial navigation to improve fleet safety.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the 1044, a weekly webisode from the editors here at CCJ. I'm Jason Cannon, and my co-host on the other side is Matt Cole. Using navigation apps to help your drivers get from point A to point B is fairly common across trucking, and many of the industry know that commercial navigation systems will help your drivers avoid roads that are not intended for trucks. But that's just scratching the surface on how commercial navigation systems can help fleets.
Truck drivers have a lot of control over what's going on with their trucks, but there's also a lot of things going on around them that's out of their control. Using systems that can alert the driver of traffic slowdowns ahead or other road hazards can only increase the safety of your fleet. I spoke with Dwayne Lazar, Director of Strategic Accounts for Trimble Maps, who talks about the types of things a commercial navigation system can do to help increase fleet safety. But before we hear from Dwayne, I'd like to take a second and tell you about the sponsor of this video, Chevron Lubricants.
Did you know that 90% of the ash and soot trapped inside your DPF right now is caused by your engine oil? It's not like you can go without engine oil, so there's nothing you can do about it, right? Wrong. Chevron spent a decade developing a no-compromise formulation when it comes to minimizing ash output and maximizing engine protection. Delo 600 ADF with OmniMax technology is an ultra-low ash diesel engine oil that is specifically designed to combat DPF ash clogging by cutting sulfate ash by 60% and extending DPF service life by 2.5 times. Delo 600 ADF also enables extended drain intervals thanks to an advanced antioxidant technology that prevents oil breakdown even at the high temperatures found in modern diesel engines. And by slashing the number of regens, Delo 600 ADF with OmniMax technology comes with a 3% fuel efficiency increase throughout the DPF's lifetime. If you're keeping score at home, that's decreased downtime, extended maintenance intervals, and improved fuel economy. That's real money in your pocket and time saved. Before you had to choose between protecting your engine or your after-treatment system, but now you don't. Delo 600 ADF with OmniMax technology. It's time to kick some ash.
The stance that we always take is at the end of the day, it's at the discretion of the driver, right? So you hope first off that the driver has good habits and the driver knows what they're doing and they are a professional driver. And by that, I mean they take their job seriously. So that aside, I think there's a lot of tools that we can deliver to the marketplace that enhance that experience. And one is obviously going to be our traffic slowdown alerts, right? So that's something where as a driver, you can't always control if you can be in the right place at the right time or not, but sometimes accidents happen. And if there's an accident happening 200 feet ahead of you, it'd be a good idea for you to have an idea that, hey, all of a sudden traffic's going to decrease from 65, 70 miles per hour. It's going to come down to a screeching halt. So let's give you a warning, right? Let's give you some additional indication. That's one. Two, probably most importantly is making sure that the drivers are in the right place. So whatever specific type of vehicle you have, let's ensure that you're on a vehicle specific route. So if you are X amount of feet wide, X amount of feet high, let's make sure that we give you the accurate routing to make sure that you stay on roads and interstates that are appropriate for your type of vehicle. Once you mix those two things together, and then you can enhance it with things like speed alerts. So if your driver's overspeeding, let's make sure that the driver's aware, right? Sometimes we zone out and we get on a road and we're just cruising along and we don't necessarily realize that we're going 5 or 10 miles over the speed limit. Let's give you some additional indicators in cab that can help with it.
One of the biggest ways carriers can help their drivers is to give them the tools to do their job safely and as efficiently as possible.
It's a driver first mentality. Right. So I have this conversation with a lot of different executives and a lot of different C-suites. At the end of the day, if we put something in front of your driver that's not user-friendly, that's not clean, that's not easy to use, that's not intuitive, then really what we've done is we've wasted a bunch of time. Right. So you've sat in a boardroom making a decision for a driver that's out in the field. And if you deliver something to them that is unusable, then what are we doing? So at the end of the day, it has to be a driver-facing tool. And that's where we start. So taking that into consideration, we offer a couple of really positive products for drivers that can improve their day. We have a trip management application, which basically says, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Driver, let's take into consideration additional things that you're going to run across your trip, right? So let's figure out, when your rest areas or where your rest areas are going to be, when are your breaks going to be, When you get to those facilities, what type of amenities are at those different locations, what's going to happen as far as weather's concerned, right? So all these things are put into one of our applications, and we built upon this, and there's a simple app that they can get in the App Store called Mylon. That's kind of one phase of it. The second phase of that is something called Copilot. Copilot is going to be that turn-by-turn vehicle-specific navigation. So real-time navigation, real-time routing algorithms. So as conditions change, whether road and surface conditions change due to weather impact, whether traffic slowdowns happen, all that information is going to be delivered to the driver, and they're going to get real vehicle-specific turn-by-turn information. They can also include things like, where do you want to fuel, right? What are the fuel prices at this particular stop? What are my preferred fuel prices as, I belong to XYZ company. Can you take that in consideration? All that information can be delivered to the driver. Now, at the same time, if I am a driver and maybe I'm on a break and I need to find a place to eat, I can go into the navigation solution and just simply look up restaurants to eat at. Or if I want to look at a particular rest stop area, and maybe I favor one over the other because they have a steak dinner that's $9, whatever the case may be, or this place has showers and this place doesn't. We're giving you the tools and the availability to make those decisions in cab, and we're giving you those real time. So as traffic conditions change, we're giving that information real time. As you inadvertently make a left-hand turn when you should have made a right-hand turn, we're going to recalculate that pretty much instantaneously, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then now you're going to be able to make that course correction. So those two tools, Copilot and Mylon, and then what we can offer with our trip management services can really tie everything together and deliver the best possible experience for drivers and making sure that, they are maximizing their time while they're behind the wheel.
It also goes beyond what drivers can see in the cab. There are back office programs that give fleet managers more control over their drivers' routes that can help them be safer and more productive.
I think I said that it all depends on the driver, but for those folks that are in the back office, we have to think of it as we can kind of control a lot that's going to happen within a driver's day. And, we need to take on that responsibility and use tools like, what we offer from our Maps platform, what we can do from a PC Miler perspective, what we can do from all the different web tools and aspects that we have within our arsenal, which basically allow you to say, hey, this is what my fleet looks like. Let me make sure that, one, I'm maximizing their day. But two, if I know of, I'll just call them hot spots, right? Or warning spots where things tend to happen and things don't necessarily go in our favor. So maybe it's a high rollover area. Maybe it's a place where drivers typically get into a lot of trouble from overspeeding. If it's going to be a location that is marked incorrectly, I have the ability from sitting behind a desk to go ahead and create a world where I can deliver the most accurate information down to my driver. Meaning all those outliers, all those things that I know are gotchas, I can take the majority of those out of the equation for my driver. And if I do have to put my driver in an instance where, regardless of what they do, you have to go by the speed trap, well, I can flag that. So when my driver's going down that road, they can get an indicator that's, lets them know, hey, this is going to be a speed trap, right? Give me some type of indication so I don't just blindly go down, foot on the gas. And in some different stretches of the world, if my driver is going 1 mile per hour over, they're going to get pulled over and they're going to get cited. So we can help with that. And then at the end of the day, I think what's probably most important here is if I can understand where a facility is and I can understand the entry and exit points of that facility, and I can understand, dwell times, and I can put all that together for a driver, I can really make their life much easier. Right? I can ensure that you arrive on time because I gave you the right directions. After you got off the interstate, I told you the right lefts and rights to make. And at the same time, I delivered you to the correct entry point to the facility. I didn't just say, hey, here's the facility on a map. Good luck. I said, here's the facility. Here's how you enter the facility. When you get to the facility, here's the gate code. Here's what dwell times look like. Once you're inside the facility, you need to go to this particular loading bay. Excuse me. Once you're done loading or unloading, here's how you exit the facility to purposely take you on to your next destination, right? Not just kick you out the exit gate and say, okay, go ahead and figure out how to get back to the interstate, but let's kick you out of the exit gate on the north side, which is the proper way to enter. And then from there, it's going to be 2 additional turns and you're going to be back on the interstate and you can continue about your day. All this can be controlled in the back office through a series of the tools that we offer from Trimble Maps. A lot of that stuff is just point and click, drag and drop type of thing, right? Where I can go ahead and create polygons and I can put entry notes and gate notes. And in all fairness, we have several thousand locations that are already built in, right? So we're trying to take on as much of that responsibility as we can. But the nice thing about it is we're saying that we're imperfect. So we don't have all the answers, even though we're working towards perfection, right? Even if we're at 99.9%, that's still not perfect. We're giving our customers the opportunity to use tools where they can go ahead and make those additional modifications for their particular fleet.
Certain programs can do a lot of what Dwayne has already mentioned while also adding in the ability to help fleets manage driver pay, toll costs, and a lot more.
I would say over the 30 plus years, PC Miler has become kind of the mainstay when you're looking at doing anything, whether it has to do with routing, rating, or driver pay. Ultimately, if you have two dots on a map, right, you know where you are and you know where you want to end up. PC Miler's kind of been that route algorithm that ties these two things together. This is where I start, this is where I end. That's kind of the easy part. What PC Miler does that we consider very unique is we take into consideration all those different road restrictions. We take into consideration what type of vehicle you are. Like I said earlier, how high, how heavy, how wide. Do you like to cross international borders? Do you want to avoid tolls? Do you want to use tolls sometime? What do those different tolls calculation look like versus no tolls versus some tolls versus all tolls, right? All those things add up. And then at the end of the day, if you are paying your driver on one set of miles and you're attempting to drive in a vehicle with a different set of miles, well, you're going to get yourself into a complicated situation at some point, and you're going to have a conversation. Well, hey, we pay on these miles versus these miles. Ultimately, what we're doing with PC Miler is trying to establish a standard, right? If you're utilizing PC Miler, if you have the latest and greatest maps, which we offer and we update frequently, then you're going to get one consistent answer. So PC Miler allows folks in the back office to go ahead and set up a route, to go ahead and understand how long that route takes to complete, to understand what type of variances are on that route, right? So what type of road restrictions, what do I need to avoid? Puts that all into a magic calculator and spits out a route line for a driver. Now, what you can do is you can give that driver that one consistent route, and then you also have the flexibility to add additional customizations. So if you have some type of local tribal knowledge that says, hey, this road is truck safe, truck legal, and truck specific according to my parameters that I put in, I also put in things that said I want to avoid toll rolls, but I understand that it kicked out a route line, and this route line to me is still somewhat imperfect, right? For my particular instance, I want to continue to customize this route line. Well, then we also give you that flexibility, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're the dispatcher and you've been doing this for 20 plus years and you know this location like the back of your hand, well, you may have a leg up on us. Or you may know that there's some twists and turns in there that are truck safe and truck legal, but for your particular fleet, for whatever reason, it runs better if you can take this alternate path. So PC Miler in the back office allows you to customize all that information and then deliver, all this through Copilot, which is in the front end and in the driver's side, but allows you to start with one truth and then to get that truth as accurate as possible, not only for every other transportation company out there, but for your particular fleet and how you guys like to run miles.
That's it for this week's 1044. You can read more on ccjdigital.com. And as always, you can find the 1044 each week on CCJ's YouTube channel. And if you've got questions, comments, criticisms, or feedback, please hit us up at 1044trucking@gmail.com or give us a call at 404-491-1380. And until next week, everybody stay safe.